Today's AskReddit post. What was arguably the biggest fuck up in history? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. A governor of the Khwarezmian Empire killed a peaceful emissary from a neighboring empire, who had been sent to establish trade relations and political connections between the two powers. The emissary was sent by Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan replied by invading the Khwarezmian Empire, obliterating everything in his path, burning basically the entire thing to the ground, and then destroying any record of the Khwarezmian Empire that he could find. He finished all of this off by diverting the river that fed the country water, causing the land where the empire once stood to become a dry and barren wasteland. Possibly one of the biggest duck-ups in history. In 1350, the Scots heard that England was having a spot of trouble with the bubonic plague, and decided to launch an invasion that would take advantage of the English, who were dropping like flies, and would thus be easy pickings. The Scots invading army lost 5,000 men to the plague in very short order. They decided to cut their losses and fall back to Scotland to be safe. Of course they brought the Great Plague with them, which devastated Scotland too. Damn Scots. They ruined Scotland. I think the best political duck-up happened in 1984 when New Zealand's arrogant Prime Minister got drunk in his office late one night and called a snap election in 2 weeks' time. His government was voted out. It became known as the Schnapps election. In 1983 in Australia, the then PM Malcolm Fraser called a snap double dissolution election, hoping to catch out the unpopularity of the Labour opposition leader, Bill Hayden. Fraser didn't know that while he was meeting with the Governor General to call the election, Bill Hayden had resigned and was to be replaced with the massively popular Bob Hawke. Labour won in a landslide. Chernobyl. Only a duck-up of epic proportions can cause a nuclear incident while doing a safety test. April 26th. A naivete of the accident is today. Came to say this too. It's not 3 Ronchian. It's 15,000 inches. The most chilling line/scene in the HBO series. Can you taste metal? While not the biggest, it was still a pretty bad duck-up. The prohibition. It failed completely to stop people from drinking. Caused tons of deaths and injuries because people would drink anything with alcohol in it, including paint thinner. It also gave rise to massive organized crime and the most famous mobster ever, Al Capone. Might as well mention the war on drugs here while we're at it. Edit. The Political Initiative, not the band, who are excellent. The ultimate hold my beer of government programs. Still going on and ducking people for a century. Mao's push to have farmers in China produce their own steel using backyard furnaces, which lead to a wacky chain reaction eventually leading to a famine that killed millions. Also Nixon deciding to spy on the Democrats, even though he almost certainly would have won re-election if he didn't. Norway wanted to give Sweden 50% of our oil profits in exchange for 50% of Volvo. Sweden's government said no as one of their ministers meant that there is no future in oil. Norway's sovereign fund, the oil fund, can now purchase every single stock on the Swedish stock exchange and still have money left over. Blockbuster not buying Netflix. Imagine. *EVERY* film you could want to watch in one place. Are the good old days. Yeah, but I mean that was never going to last. Either we got what we have now, competition, or Netflix kept a monopoly and does what monopolies always do once they have a foothold and start ducking their customers over as much as possible. The Fourth Crusade. It started as a crusade for Jerusalem from an invasion through Egypt, and the Crusaders ended up invading Croatia and Constantinople. This also led to the weakening of the Byzantine Empire and eventually its downfall. Points for reaching beyond the obvious. Something sorely lacking in these venues. Fortunately, pomposity is in ready supply. *THE story so far. ***I in the beginning the universe was created. ***THIS has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move. Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small unregarded yellow sun. Orbiting this at a distance of roughly 92 million miles is an utterly insignificant little blue-green planet whose ape-descended life forms are so amazingly primitive that they still think digital watches are a pretty neat idea. From an objective point of view, probably the Khwarezmian Empire pissing off the Mongols. Hitler invading the Soviet Union was bad, but at least after the duck-up Germany continued to exist, while the Khwarezmian Empire got absolutely destroyed and much of its population was massacred. TF is a Khwarezmian Empire lol. Imagine if Afghanistan and Iran teamed up and then promptly got utterly obliterated and their entire populations killed. Hitler invading the Soviet Union, Japan attacking Pearl Harbor, kicking Hitler out of art school. Wasn't the art school's fault. Hitler was a mediocre artist and didn't meet their standards. The wrong turn that driver made in 1914. The Great War had been cooking for a while. It was gonna happen sooner or later, I believe. Leaded gasoline. In 1912, China was a functioning and promising democracy for the first time ever, and it was ruined by one general, Yuan Shikai, who couped the government and declared himself emperor. Vitruvius not see the potential of steam to move things with the Heron engine, only saw it as a amusing toy. The steam age and industrial revolution could have happened in 1st century Greece. Letting politicians trade stocks. You can't be a part of our art school. The irony is that Hitler was the face of Germany during the war, but the majority of the poop that happened wasn't even in his grasp of control. In short, even if Hitler had gone to art school, the majority of Germany's involvement in the war wouldn't have changed. In fact, it is very possible that Germany would have won the war if Hitler hadn't been in power. The Germans smuggling Lenin into Russia during World War I to create a revolution. When the revolution was happened, Lenin was in Zurich. You mean the October Revolution? But provisional government was so weak and unpopular after half year, and may be overthrown by any rogue. But it probably would have been a military dictatorship, rather than a socialist revolution. Allowing a handful of people control the vast majority of media. Delete media. Insert money. In American history, Supreme Court's Citizens United decision, which made corporate bribery legal. Government no longer served the people from that point on. The Atlanta Falcons drafting Michael Penix Jr. #8 overall after giving an enormous contract to 35-year-old Kirk Cousins. I'd say not handing it off to Devonta Freeman to set up a field goal for a to-score lead late in the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl was dumber. Could have just taken 3 knees after that insane Julio catch and ended up better. The outbreak of WW1. Due to the events of World War I, the Middle East was carved up without regard for religious or cultural differences, which is still causing problems now. It led to the rise of Nazism, the Holocaust and the State of Israel. World War I led to the revolution in Russia, leading to the Soviet Union. Once the Allies defeated the Axis in World War II, it left the US and Russia as nuclear powers, leading to the Cold War. All of this is influencing the world currently. You're right. I added some details. Old lad Putin is currently a contender, with his miscalculation costing a lot of lives. Expanding NATO. Manpower shortages nationwide. Rubble is worth about a penny now. Made their demographic crisis worse and it all still ongoing. If Parliament had just given the colonies their own representation in the House of Commons, they could have likely avoided the entire Revolutionary War and the US would not have formed. We'd likely have like 9 smaller versions of Canada on the East Coast with a large Mexico and several interior Native American nations today. Corporations are people. Money is speech. These simple assertions have guided America toward more greed and more war than any other decision in history. It has set us on the path towards far worse ends than most other single events. Money is speech. Putting lead into gasoline for extra horsepower. Chernobyl. The most anthropogenically destructive event ever. Don't even carbon me. Also took down the Soviet Union, and Reactor 4 is still the most deadly place on the planet and will be for 30,000 years. Now, we can always make somewhere else even worse. Well, they were 72 hours away from making Central Asia inhabitable. Nearly permanently. So there, that's lead pipes and leaded petrol. We are probably still suffering the effects of it, especially in terms of IQ. Don't forget the lead paint, which contributes far higher levels than both for those who have backyard gardens. If you want a victory garden, I recommend seeding the soil with food grade zeolite and then planting in raised beds anyway. Ironically, produce from industrial farms of some of the lowest levels despite their use of leaded gas in crop dusters. I think we can all agree the biggest duck up in history is the PlayStation 2 only having 2 controller ports instead of 4. If they had made it 4 controller ports at the start, there wouldn't be an Xbox or a Nintendo anymore. I think there would totally still be a Nintendo, but yeah, probably no Xbox, and Sega may have died a bit earlier. The Big Bang. It's been all downhill since then, widely regarded as a bad move. It'd make a lot of people very angry. The creation of chlorofluorocarbons and leaded gasoline, done by the same guy. Agricultural revolution. Agriculture. Hitler. He had so much scientific and mathematical talent in Germany. Germany could have been a powerhouse. I'm not advocating for Nazi bullpoop. I'm just advocating for the scientific and mathematical community back in the 1930s. PPP loans in the US. The fraud is off the charts. The IPCC decision to go with a more conservative climate change modeling in the 1980s. Essentially, the question at the time was, does heat accumulate at the poles, or does it dissipate into space? They went with the dissipation models, even though they were in contradiction to geological evidence, because it had never been directly observed. And now, everything is sooner than expected and faster than anticipated. Apostrophe. Yeah, because you guys ducked up. The biggest duck up in history. By orders of degrees. Haha. Lots of good answers here. I say lead gasoline. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Tie between Mao ordering all those birds killed resulting in mass famine, Hitler attacking Russia, and Rome turning Christian. 45. Dred Scott case. It probably accelerated the end of slavery in America by decades at least, though. It did. That was the only good thing it did. I put this because, as my history professor says, it was so bad they needed a whole amendment to fix it, not meaning to come off as rude. Me breaking up with Emily. I'm an idiot. Hey Grug. Who that? Oh, them called modern humans. Just moved into area. Seem nice. Cool tools. I don't like how they look, we should eat them. Grunk, grunk, grunk. You worry too much. We are Neanderthals. The world belongs to us. I don't know, but I'm better Thomas Midgley Jr. was involved somehow. Any invasion of Russia/USSR in winter, which is remarkable as so far it has happened twice. The Holocaust. Giving religions tax-free status. Not handing the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.